What's up, guys?
On this week's show,
Disney buys Fox,
Twisted Pair trailer,
and DJ Melly Mel hates the Dark Knight.
all that and more on this episode
Of One Giant Leap for Geeks.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for
Geeks. Welcome to another episode of OGLFG, where we talk about movies, video games, and all things in geek culture. I'm your host, Mike C. Squared. And with me, finally, again, is my co-host, DJ Melly Mel.
Hey! I know
Right.
y'all missed me,
Right.
had to throw that in there.
Back with a vengeance.
Back again.
Right. Oh, God. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back?
Yes.
No copyright, Eminem. Please don't sue me.
All in good fun.
Right. You know, he doesn't seem like he'd be the one to sue.
I don't think he does. His producers, maybe?
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, his lawyers and shit, more so than him. He probably don't fucking care. Anywho, welcome back to another episode of One Giant Leap for Geeks. We are going to do a little bit of follow-up stuff from a story that we talked about last week with James Gunn, and then we're going to get into some other things. But first, before we do anything else, we're going to try something different this episode.
Ooh, different.
So, so this week I wanted to try something different. DJ Melly Mel is going to watch a trailer for the first time. Now, she has not seen this. She doesn't know anything about it. She knows just from the title of the episode that it's called Twisted Pair, but beyond that, she is completely in the dark. So, those of you who have seen the Twisted Pair trailer, you kind of know what to expect, but she will not know. Now, okay, I wanted to try it different because I wanted to get a raw reaction out of you.
Okay.
So I downloaded the trailer. I trimmed it down some because it's like 3 minutes or something, and it's like I don't want to run that whole thing. Plus, I don't want to get copyright flagged.
Yeah, we don't need all that.
Yeah, playing it in its entirety.
As long as I get the meat of it.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So I am going to play it.
Okay.
And I'm going to let you watch it, and we're going to pause, and we're going to talk about some things. But just to kind of give you the setup, it's directed by a director named Neil Breen, and he's made a few other feature films before, and they all have been of questionable quality, to say the least. So, yeah, so with all the getting all the other preamble out of the way, we're going to go ahead, and I am going to show DJ Melly Mel for the first time.
First time ever.
Yeah, I know, right. The Twisted Pair trailer. So, okay. I'm already laughing at the special effects.
My name is Cade. I have an identical twin brother, Kel. Then one day it all changed.
All right, real quick, before we even get more than like 20 seconds into it, I love how he's like, I have an identical brother, Cade, and we wear the exact same clothes all the time. It's like, he couldn't even be bothered to like shoot two different, scenes of him walking up, because he doesn't have a twin in real life. He's
Obviously.
just the same guy. But it's like, not only did he just shoot that, and then, have him still wearing the same outfit, doesn't change clothes for the brother. But I don't even think he even shot two different scenes. I think he just used the same footage twice. Because if you watch the brother that's walking up, I'm pretty sure he does the same motions and stops and looks around in the same directions that he does. He just timed it differently.
There was a bright light in the sky, and time stood still.
Because he's going to look right when he gets up to the front.
The pure
Oh,
majesty
well, I cut it off, sorry.
of nature.
No, it looks like he just...
It's just so bad. Oh yeah, that was him jumping from a from a building during that explosion right there too.
Pure majesty of nature.
Oh my god.
Let's have have a drink. Let's have a drink.
Leave me alone.
Let's have
I
a
have
drink.
a boyfriend.
I'll meet
Get
you
out of my
back here
face.
at 8 o'clock. I miss my brother.
This beer.
I'm with you. Who am I? What am I?
Annoying. Okay. So many things I have to say already.
I love how he just died. Like, I love how getting shot in the kneecap just instantly kills you.
He didn't even shoot him. He
I
shot
know.
next to him.
He shot like off camera. And then those jumps, those special effects with these jumps kill me. He does it like 12 times throughout this trailer. And these explosions.
These things
Is the show from like 1985?
No.
Because I'm telling you, that's the kind of special effects we got going on here.
just
Like Adam West Batman or some shit.
Oh, no. No. Worse.
I'm waiting for like, pow, Sam.
Pretty much.
The fuck?
So many explosions.
So fake.
everyone has the right to love and peace.
And this is the director, by the way.
Oh, the director's the actor?
Yes.
Oh, hell.
I'll be right here.
These cheap ass, like,
E.T.
Adobe
photos.
After Effects. This is like some Sony Vegas 1 type shit. Like, what is this?
He pieced the shit together on Paint, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. Microsoft Movie Maker.
Yep. That's
So
it.
So from now, I did chop down a bit of the story per se. But just from that little bit that you've seen, what can you glean from this trailer?
The man had a budget of $15.
Right, and he lost 10 of
Adobe
it.
Photoshop.
He had a budget of $15. He lost 10 of it, and then he had 5 left to use over. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know.
If our listeners could see my face right now, like, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen big time movie productions in like the 70s better than that.
Mm-hmm. What's interesting to me about him is that all of his movies are like this. Like I think he has made like 4 other movies before this one, and they're all really super low budget, really bad special effects, really horrible acting.
How is he still in business?
Well, see, that's the thing. They're like indie movies, and he gets like, GoFundMe pages going and shit to try and get, money for them. But, that movie, The Room, that James Franco did a movie of, The Disaster Artist?
No.
Okay, well, it's about this guy who made this real movie called The Room, and it's one of them other indie projects like this, and it's really bad, really terribly acted. Now, all the crazy special effects and shit that are in this are not in that, but it's just like, it's really, really... It's one of those like guilty pleasure like cult movies where like people like to just watch really bad shit to just kind of ironically laugh at it, And
I guess.
I was never one of those people. Like, I had never even heard of Neil Breen before I saw this.
Never heard
Like,
of him.
I think I had seen maybe the trailer to one of his other movies, but I didn't know what it was or who he was or anything like that. And I'm not one of those person who just likes quote unquote bad movies.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
You may happen to like a few bad movies, but not
right, I don't
necessarily.
seek them out.
Right,
There's
right.
some people who will just go out and watch shit that they know is bad because it's funny to them. They get it. Hell, I was on an episode of a shout out to Doug and Courtney. I was on a podcast called Worst of the Worst, and we watched a really bad blaxploitation movie from like the 60s or 70s, and we talked about that. And he was just all about that shit. He was all about it. Doug, I love you, man, but it was hilarious. And he seems to me like he'd be one of those people who just enjoy watching bad shit.
I guess.
And I am not. Yeah.
No, not my thing either.
Yeah, and I know you definitely. I ain't got time for this shit. I have limited time, people, and I ain't got time to be watching bullshit.
Hell, I don't even get to watch the good movies all the time.
Right, there you go. It is probably some of the most pretentious and like low budget shit I've probably ever seen, because in the parts that I cut out, he's talking about how like him and or his brother were like genetically enhanced somehow, and that's why they was doing them crazy jumps and shit and teleporting, and there's like some genetic engineering. I don't think that's a word. Genetic engineering. There we go.
Okay, genetic engineering. Sure, that's pretty regular on this show.
Sure.
Jumping superpowers, again, that's a pretty much a given for this.
Sure.
But that?
Yeah.
No, I've seen 5-year-olds make videos better than that.
It's so bad. It's so bad. And my thing is, he has to be self-aware. He has to know that this is bad. You can't objectively sit down and watch this and be like, that was good. That was good. Yeah, that was good.
That budget team of 1.
Right, because I'm sure he edits all this shit together. It's like written, produced, directed, starring, Neil Breen. So I'm just like, you have to know that this is shit. And your movies are popular because they're bad. So it almost makes me wonder, like, because no one lives in a bubble. Mm-hmm. The outside forces affect your creativity no matter what you're creating. Sure. I'm like, as a creator myself, like, I can't pretend that other things don't influence me. Right. Because they do.
Right.
But, so you can't tell me that this guy doesn't know that these movies are bad and people watch them because they're bad. Like, I feel like now he's intentionally, like, going, we gotta make this shit look really just terrible.
Like, they can do it in Deadpool. We can make it.
Oh, God.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no. Like the moment it came on and it had that weird purpley background with the tree and stuff, and it's do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
It really,
and I'm like,
really doesn't look like something that's coming out now. It looks like something from, I swear to God, 1970 or, that old Twilight Zone where you got the creature from the Black Lagoon and you can see that he's clearly like a puppet and you're like, arr, arr. That's what the fuck it looks like.
Rawr. Pretty much, yeah.
Do you remember?
He's like, everyone deserves love. Like,
do you remember the end credits of Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
The movie?
No, the TV show.
No.
Okay. At the end of every episode of Buffy the TV show, there was a little paper drawing of a monster, and I don't remember what the name of the company was, but it would be a white page and it looked like it had drawn on in marker, and then they had this little monster that was drawn on a separate piece of paper, and they'd take him from one side of the screen and they'd move him to the other and he'd go grr arg, and then he'd disappear off the screen.
No, I need to see this now.
How have you not? Oh my God.
No, see, you know what? And I'm gonna lose some geek points for this. I was never really a Buffy fan. I loved the movie. The show, I couldn't get with the show. The movie was great though. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie, but I'm like, how can you not love that? They had Pee Wee Herman in Buffy.
I forgot he was in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's what I thought you were gonna bring up. Because there's that scene where he gets stabbed with a stake and he's like dying, quote unquote, and he's like, for like 5 minutes and shit. And it's just like, fucking die already, Jesus.
Oh, it was called Mutant Enemy.
Okay.
All right, and it's like 29 seconds.
Okay. Oh, okay. How it's changed over time.
That's all it is.
Nice.
I don't know.
But
all right.
But I mean, like, I don't want to spend too much more time on this thing, but I'm just like, does there come a point where when you're making something that people consider bad, that you continue to lean into that to get, to keep people who enjoy it because it's bad entertained and keep them engaged and wanting to watch your movies? Or do you try to get, quote unquote, better because, objectively your movies are bad and you're like, hey, I am doing this to be serious. I'm not putting this out to make it bad, so I want to make it better. Like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like I said, on any level, like, anybody would look at this and be like, God, this is terrible. Like, what is this? So, yeah. Neil Breen, no, keep doing, I'll leave it up to the listeners. If there comes a time, if you guys will either email us at officialoglfg@gmail.com or tweet at us at giantleap4geeks. if you want us to watch the Twisted Pair movie when it comes out and give it a review, oh God, I don't want to spend 2 hours of my life doing it. But I will. If you guys want it, I will watch it.
Let's hope it's one of those, like, 90-minute movies.
Oh, God. Even then, an hour and a half, I'm like, oh, God.
Make it shorter than one of them Disney films. What do they usually cut them off at? Like 76 minutes?
Something, man. I'm like, can it just be like a short film, like in front of like the Pixar movies and shit, where it's just like a 2-minute little just blurb and just get it out? Look, I feel like I've watched it with that trailer. Like, there ain't much more else that you really need to show me after that silly shit I just watched.
Well, because trailers usually highlight the key points of the movie. And you...
Plot twist.
Yeah, you chop down the trailer furthermore to just show me, like, the key point. So, man, I don't know.
We'll see. Like I said, hopefully you guys don't decide to suddenly, become active and be like, yes, watch Twisted Pair, because I do not want to watch this shit.
And if you haven't seen the trailer, look at the trailer before you send us a response.
No, they go see it and they're gonna, yes, you have to see this now. I feel like just out of torture's sake, if nothing else. But anyway, moving on.
Please.
Right. So our other story this week is Disney has officially acquired Fox. Now, they've been in the back and forth stages. Comcast tried to come in there at the last minute and pull some shit and try and make a cash bid for it, but Disney, that mouse, pushed him back off, and he was like, get the fuck out of here! That Fox is mine, son of a bitch!
I love your Mickey Mouse impression.
But yeah, the mouse has fought off, Comcast, and the Fox is now in the mouse's house. So, yay?
Well...
Okay.
Yay. Yes. Yay.
Yes, yay. Yes, yay, but kind of, okay.
Yay, but.
Yes, it's official that they've sealed the deal, and that's great, but. And it's kind of not at the same time. And I will explain why. But first, I want to give you the official story. I'm getting this from Variety. It says here, Disney and Fox first reached a buyout agreement for $52.4 billion. Billion with a B.
Can I get like a tenth of that?
Right. Just give me $52,000.
Right.
I'll take that and be happy for a minute. I
don't even make that in a year.
Just like, I'll take anything, please.
I'd be happy with $5,200.
Pretty much, yeah, sure. That'll knock out some bills and a bunch of other shit.
Right. I'd be able to get caught up.
Right.
Pay off my car.
Right, Marvel, if you're listening, you can just break it so they say, hell no. They said, you saw we fired James Gunn. Like, we definitely ain't doing no favors. But anyway, for $52.4 billion in December. Comcast had been in the running last fall, but the Fox board opted for Disney as the better fit for most of Murdoch's Hollywood empire. That's Rupert Murdoch, for those that don't know. The shareholder vote was originally set for July 10th, but had to be postponed after Comcast unveiled its $65 billion all-cash offer on June 13th. Disney responded a week later with a sweetened offer featuring a mix of cash and stock, which Comcast came to them and they were like, hey, we will overbid them by another like $13 billion and it'll all be cash, because Disney's bid was half cash, half stock.
Right.
Options.
Somebody offered me cash, billions dollars.
That's the thing, though. The cash has its set value for what it is right now. Yes, there's inflation and fluctuation.
Sure.
But for the most part, the money is worth what the money's going to be worth.
Sure.
The stock can, yes, potentially go down in value, but more than most likely will increase in value, especially now that they've acquired Fox. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, it would kind of be smarter to take the stocks because, this may be worth more than the money,
right.
in like a year from now,
right.
10 years from now.
I keep picturing that meme with Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet, and it's a mouse head.
Oh,
Have
yeah.
Where he's like picking up the stones.
Yep, and it's like each of the studios and shit. Right. Yeah. He's putting like Fox in there. Yeah. Which, that's basically what's going on. Okay, and just to get this information dump out. It says Disney has already received the green light from the Justice Department for the purchase on the condition that it sell off Fox's 22 regional sports networks within 90 days of closing. Disney still needs to secure a handful of approvals from foreign governments. So basically,
So it's getting Fox, but not the sports? Is that?
Yeah, like Fox News and Fox Sports and all that kind of shit. That they don't want none of that shit. They just want the movie studios, the intellectual properties, which we'll go over in a minute, and mainly Hulu. Which I've already come up with y'all name, Disney, because more than most likely, you know, Disney has been saying for a while they're going to make their own streaming service.
Right.
Now they have controlling shares in Hulu. So they technically, for all intents and purposes, own Hulu now.
Oh, fuck down. They don't have to make their own. Just be
exactly. All they have to do is rebrand Hulu. And I got the perfect name. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm ready for this.
When the new Hulu comes out, and I played with this for a while, but it's perfect. All right. You ready?
Uh-huh.
Dulu.
Why?
Because at first I was like Dislu, and I was like no, and I was like Hooney, and I was like no, that don't really work. And then I went Dulu, and I was like, oh, it's perfect. Dulu. What? No Dulu. Like, hey babe, we gotta renew our Dulu subscription.
Oh my god.
Hey, they got some new Dulu originals out now. We gotta go watch these. But anyway, the whole reason that I wanted to talk about this is because I am torn, okay? One half of me is so excited because of all the toys we're going to get back in our toy box for the MCU.
Heck yeah.
And then I'm kind of afraid because I feel like Disney is literally taking over the world.
I'm telling you, it's...
Right, we're almost to that point.
Mickey Mouse is going to be purple next year. You watch.
Oh, yeah.
You roll around with some orange gloves, be like, I know where you got them from.
He will be like, I could bring balance to the universe if I snap my fingers like that. So anyway, this is all the goodie bag, or everything that comes in the Fox goodie bag, okay? Now, these are strictly just Marvel properties that Fox has had the rights to that now Disney owns with the rest of the MCU.
Okay.
So, we will be getting back Kang the Conqueror, the X-Men,
yes,
Doctor Doom, Sabretooth, Apocalypse, Wolverine,
yes,
Namor the Submariner, Mr. Sinister, Magneto, the Super Skrulls, Silver Surfer, Galactus, Franklin and Valeria Richards, the Juggernaut, Deadpool, and Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four.
Woo woo!
It's crazy to me. I was like, I didn't realize Fox had all these motherfuckers. I was like, God, did y'all sell everything to fucking Fox? I think Sony only got Spider-Man and his Rogues Gallery.
That was it.
They gave Fox every fucking body. I'm like, God damn, y'all.
Well, they had everything attached to the X-Men.
True.
So, I mean, that's a big chunk.
Yeah,
of
between them
itself.
and Fantastic Four, a lot of this shit, because, you know, like Magneto and all
Silver
them kind of
Surfer
fall under that.
Yeah, so when you get Fantastic Four, that's a big chunk.
Yeah.
Because think about all of the villains that you have with that. You've got Doctor Doom, you've got the Silver Surfer, you know,
Galactus.
You got all that coming with the Fantastic Four. And then you turn around and you've got X-Men, so that'll entail Apocalypse, Wolverine, Sabretooth, and, you know, Deadpool's kind of in there.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's the trainee.
Which I'm super curious as to how this shit is going to play out. I'm like, are we just going to keep Deadpool off in his own corner of the sandbox to play in? And it's like, he's still in our sandbox, but he can't play with us. like he has lice, right? He eats cat poop and he has lice, and you can't go to his house no more, sweetheart. No, you can still be his friend, but don't you ever fucking let him touch you. or he can never set foot in this house, and if he ever gets near you, we're burning everything you wore that day. I'm sorry.
And no, you can't go to his house.
Right, hell no. Hell no. Our tires will not roll down that son of a bitch's street. No. Now, aside from all the goodies that we're getting Marvel related, which this is what, you know, and this is an added bonus because I didn't even think about all the Fox properties that aren't Marvel related that Disney will now own.
Oh.
Yeah, see.
You can see the light bulbs turning.
Yeah.
Fox owns Gotham. Gotham now is by Disney.
Yep.
So therefore Gotham is now under the same umbrella as Marvel.
That is true.
Which is a competitor for DC.
Well, okay. Warner Brothers still makes Gotham. It's just that Fox airs it. Now, will that continue under Disney?
No.
We will see.
Well, it was already
Probably
scheduled.
not,
It was
but-
already scheduled to be the last season, anyways.
Okay, yeah, they knew this shit was coming. They was like, wrap it up. Come on,
Yeah.
get the fuck out. Wrap it up.
That's Warner Brothers said, we want Gotham. And then that damn mouse was coming in. They're like, oh, hell no. We're not putting our Batman show on the same network as Marvel. Not doing it. That's why they wrapped it up. Anyways.
I'm still thinking about Mickey Mouse's Thanos.
I'm telling you, that meme was everywhere.
I'm telling you. It's just like I could just see him like. I just see him like when he like walks into like the Fox like studio offices and shit, and you know everybody's getting ready to afraid because they're gonna get fired and shit, and the mouse is like, one does not normally take pleasure in balancing the universe. It's like, but this brings a smile to my face.
Oh my god.
Oh, okay.
Can you picture him walking in with Thanos' big body and a Mickey Mouse
I
head?
know, right. No. It's Mickey Mouse, just normal Mickey Mouse with that big ass Thanos head.
There you go.
Just a one big gauntlet and shit that covers like to his shoulder, like. Oh, anyway, okay,
Yes.
so the Fox properties that we are also inheriting
Okay.
with the Marvel properties, we are getting The Simpsons, Family Guy, Die Hard, Avatar, the Ice Age movies, the Planet of the Apes movies, the Aliens movies, the Home Alone franchise, the Chipmunks movie, Mrs. Doubtfire, Garfield, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Rio, Taken, Kingsman, and Kung Fu Panda, and that was just the few that I wanted to look up, because after that I was like, that's enough. So, in these, and I specifically picked these because most of these are not just movies. These are franchises.
Right.
You know, I'm like, The Simpsons is, a television series that's been on forever.
Sure.
They've had a movie. Family
Several,
Guy.
I think. I think there's two Simpsons movies? Or
There
just
may
one?
be. I think there's one, but there could be two. You could be right. I think there's one, though.
I could be wrong. It's okay. You
but-
can say it.
But yeah, I mean, probably.
Anyways.
but no, Family Guy hasn't had a movie yet today, but they've been talking about wanting to make one forever, and I would be surprised if they never make a Family
They
Guy
had the
movie.
Star Wars movies.
True.
The Star Wars episodes.
Yeah, but they were never like in theaters. It was just like a special episode,
Right.
That was like an hour and a half long or something for the show. But they didn't have like a big budget, like in theaters movie, which they've been wanting to for a while. But I mean, and then Avatar movies, like we're making the sequel. I mean, we already got Avatar Land at Disney World, so
Right.
they wouldn't finna let that shit
Hell
stay
no.
over at Fox. They say if we building a theme park for this shit, that's finna be ours. Like we don't share. That's why I'm like, if Sony don't go ahead and just sell Spider-Man off to Marvel gonna just buy Sony. Like y'all, and I think that's kind of what they want, to be honest. But that's a whole other story.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I picked these because these are franchises.
Right,
Now,
right.
it's cool that we're getting all this, but it's kind of scary because outside of fucking the Fast and Furious movies, what else is there?
Not much.
There aren't any more franchises. They have swallowed up everything. I mean, Disney has Die Hard, okay? The Die Hard franchise is now at Disney. Like, the mouse is like, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker! Like,
Yes.
you're gonna get extra Mickey Mouse today because DJ Melly Mel's here. But I'm just like, they have... When they took Star Wars, I kind of got like, ooh, like that's a big one.
Right.
And now that they've just bought Fox outright, it's like, well, shit, like there is no other franchises. Anything going forward is going to have to be a new intellectual property that hasn't been done before, or at least hasn't, been done in a while.
Right.
Because they got everything. I mean, everything.
I'm trying to think of something that they don't have, and
Yeah, good luck.
I'm not coming up with anything. Because everything I'm thinking of is... Let's see, Kung Fu Panda was Fox. Wasn't that also DreamWorks?
Yeah, but it was still a Fox, distributed
Right.
and all that shit.
I'm just trying to think maybe Shrek. But Shrek's DreamWorks too, so...
Yeah. No, trust me. I've gone through this.
Madagascar.
There ain't shit else.
We ain't got nothing. It's
No.
all hail the mouse.
Pretty damn much.
Or
And
off
I mean,
with your head.
pretty damn much. And it's like, that's not necessarily a bad thing per se, but I don't necessarily think it's a good thing per se either. You know, as long as there is room for competition, I'm totally fine with that. I just don't want to see Disney make a monopoly out of, you know, Hollywood.
Right.
Like, I want my big summer blockbusters and epic movies and stuff like that to come from a few different sources, you know? Like, don't get me wrong, you know, Warner Brothers has been on some bullshit with these DC movies, but I mean, people like the Fantastic Beasts movies, I guess. I didn't. After the Harry Potter series is over, I'm like, I have no interest in going back to the Wizarding World. If you ain't talking about my boy Harry, all that other bullshit, what's his name? With Dumbledore and whatever the new guy, Newt Scamander, or whatever the fuck his name is. I'm like, you can keep all that shit. Sorry, guys.
Harry Potter done run its course.
Yeah, I'm like, shots fired on that shit. I mean, you know, but if you enjoy Harry Potter, if you enjoy this, the further tales of the Wizarding World, I will not begrudge you that.
Sure.
That it just ain't my thing no more.
Yeah.
Sorry. But one thing that DJ Melly Mel had sent me before she came over to record this today, which I didn't know about because I had just, you know, was putting together this story for the whole thing with, you know, Disney officially owning Fox now.
Right.
And she had sent me this story, and
I kind of found it by accident, actually. I went to look up something for my mom, and Google popped up as my homepage, which, you know, when you start a new tab in Google, it shows you, like, the stories, possible interested stories at the bottom.
Sure.
Underneath your search bar. And the first one was about a wrestler. I was like, okay, that's very sad. I had kind of been monitoring that story anyway. And then I went to scroll back up, and I saw the image that you're looking at.
Yeah, Dark Pheonix.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, hey, what is that? And I went further down, and then right underneath of that was the other story that I sent you about the Batman.
So with this one, we're getting this from Comic Book Resources, CBR.com. It says that IMAX released its quarterly earnings report, providing investors with the upcoming slate of movies, and this 2019 forecast has X-Men Dark Phoenix and the New Mutants included with their respective release dates. The unsubstantiated rumors suggested the films could be released on home video someday, as the Marvel Cinematic Universe wanted to distance itself from them. But as we can see, this isn't the case, with the release dates being the same as the last shuffle Fox arranged. Now, basically, just to paraphrase, the story's saying that it's confirmed that X-Men Dark Phoenix and New Mutants are still coming out because IMAX had a shareholders meeting for its quarterly earnings or whatnot and what's coming up in the future for its investors, and they still have on their slate that there will still be a New Mutants and X-Men Dark Phoenix movie. I don't think that shit's gonna happen. I'm like, I don't know if nobody told y'all, but the mouse is cleaning house. Like, I didn't mean for that to rhyme. But I do not see, especially Kevin Feige, with how meticulous he is about the MCU and making sure everything is just right so all the pieces fit together and make sense. Like, we can't have you going too far off in this direction because you got to still be able to work within the world that we've already created.
Right.
Because that's the cool thing about the MCU. It's like, we've given you the sandbox, and you can play in the sandbox, but there are certain toys that will remain in the sandbox and have to be used, you know, with it, you know,
don't take the dump truck outside the sandbox.
Right, exactly. So it's like, and you can't break the toys, like, because we still need them because other kids want to play with them. So it's like, you know, you get to be as creative as you like within the confines of this box. So it gives these people a chance to do stuff, but I don't think, because, okay, if these movies still come out, then what? Because you know that Disney's not going to make a sequel. They're not going to continue the X-Men franchise that we are on now from X-Men First Class and, you know, Days of Future Past.
Right, all this backtracking.
Yeah, like, we ain't bringing Hugh Jackman back, and even though I love me some James McAvoy, you know, he ain't going to be Professor. We not, and they definitely ain't finna deal with Jennifer Lawrence ass. They said, hell no. They said, we ain't putting up with your shit. but I'm just like, I don't see them continuing these franchises. So either they're lying to their investors, or they're going to put this movie out and then we're never going to get a sequel to Dark Phoenix and we're never going to get a sequel to New Mutants because Disney, I don't see them continuing this on.
Or they're going to put out one and not the other.
Right, because they want to...
I don't see New Mutants making it.
Now, actually, I'll disagree with you. I would say that
you think New Mutants over
yes,
Dark Phoenix?
Because New Mutants is different enough to where they could do a Deadpool and spin that kind of off into its own thing. Where it's like, it's related, but just barely, and we don't really acknowledge that they're there, and they're just kind of doing their own thing. Kid. Exactly, right. Cat poop and lice kid. You off in the corner of the sandbox. But if they did Dark Phoenix... this will be the second time that Fox has tried to tell the Phoenix story.
Right.
Because they did it once in X-Men The Last Stand. And they ruined the Dark Phoenix story. And now they finna fuck it up again. Because I'm like, you're not setting it up right.
Nope.
I'm like, you ain't did nothing with space yet and all that. Because I'm like, she gets her powers from like an alien or some shit.
Right.
Like, that is not a mutation or something.
She's kind of like a Fantastic Four thing. Like, it was created in space.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you can't... How do you go from my superpower is like telekinesis and telepathy to, now I burst into flames and this giant bird comes out of me and shit? It's like, that is not a evolution from that to this. Like, that is a totally separate thing that possesses her and gives her new abilities and enhances her existing powers. It's a whole thing. And that's the other reason why I don't want them to tell the story, because the Dark Phoenix story, the reason that story is so popular and people like it so much is because Jean Grey, as a character before that, she was very vanilla. Mm-hmm. She was very middle of the road, good girl, she was with the Boy Scout, Scott, Cyclops, and that was the whole thing of the... like attraction that readers had, like, oh, because Wolverine's the bad boy and she's the good girl and you want to see her with him, but she ain't gonna leave Scott because he's the good guy and she's the good girl and Wolverine's the bad boy. But then when she gets the Phoenix in her, then she becomes the bad girl, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, oh yeah, Wolverine, I do want some of that, adamantium dick. Like, yeah. I don't know if they put it in his dick too, maybe.
No, they attached it to his bones.
Hey,
there are no bones in the penis.
All right, close.
Oh my God.
I'd be like, look, can I get a special request? I know y'all finna do some horrible experimentation on me, but if you could just, hook me up in the junk department too, that'd be great. Thank you. Indestructible penis.
I need
please.
A prosthesis, please.
Right. I want a constantly erect penis. I will figure out a way to just duct tape it to my leg or something. Don't worry. Anyway.
Take pants down and hit the floor.
Be like, ting! The fuck was that? Like, oh, don't worry.
You found out.
Right, like every time you running down the street, it's something like chains jingling and shit. Cling, cling, cling. Like, oh. Anyway.
Dark Phoenix. We need to
Dark
get back
Phoenix.
on track.
Oh, we're getting so sidetracked.
That's all right.
But yeah, so But yes, the reason that this story is so popular and people like it so much is because we get to spend time with Jean while she's still the vanilla Jean. And then when she takes the turn after the Phoenix gets in her and she becomes bad, it's fun to watch that progression and that change in her and how that affects her relationships.
Sure.
And how she ends up leaving the X-Men and goes off with like the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants and all kind of shit. And it gets crazy. And aliens come and it's a big tournament and it's a thing. They're not going to do that in this movie. No. I tell you right now, they're not going to do that in this movie.
Another thing that I've seen for the movie that I don't like, and I really, really, really wish that they would, if they're going to produce this movie, leave this part out. They're starting her off as a child, like teenage years at most, and Dark Phoenix did not come around when Jean Grey was a teenager.
No.
Dark Phoenix evolved after.
Well, see, I'm curious.
Not evolved, but
where it came along.
Came about after.
But see, I'm confused at how old Jean is even supposed to be in this, because you know that ever since First Class, each of these progressive X-Men movies have been a decade in the future.
Right.
So, like, First Class and Days of Future Past are 10 years apart. Days of Future Past and Apocalypse are 10 years apart.
Right.
So it's been 20 years in between, or since the first movie. 10,
the first
20.
class.
Yeah. Yeah, so Dark Phoenix will be 30 years from First Class. And I'm like, so you telling me that James McAvoy is supposed to be 30 years older than he is from First Class till now by the time Dark Phoenix come out?
Stewart.
Right, because I'm like, okay, yeah, y'all made him bald, but he don't look no fucking older. Yeah, a couple years, sure, but,
Not 30.
he don't look, 30. And that's why I'm like, each time they're like, we're jumping a decade, and I'm like, why? It's like, I thought the whole reason of resetting the timetable was so we could spend time in the past and do all the crazy shit with the mutants, and then it would have made more sense to do that, then that way you don't have to be in modern times and you can play with it more.
Right.
But I'm like, at this pace, by the time the next movie come out, we'll be in the 2000s, so we'll be caught up to where we are now. It's like, why do we even go back in the past if we're just gonna decade hop? Like, I would have been like a year or two tops. Like, this shit all took place in like the 80s and just call it good with that. Because that's when the X-Men was like at their prime in like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
That, when the cartoon show was on and everything else.
Love the cartoon.
Yeah.
And it hurt me to hear your talk about the cartoon. You talked about a cartoon a couple shows back. It was either a Spider-Man cartoon or an X-Men cartoon or
what did I say about
Sonic or something. You were singing the theme song, and Amber didn't know what you were talking about.
Oh.
And I was listening to that at work, and
I think it was Sonic.
I couldn't be there, and I was like, I know! Like, I was singing right along with you, so I was geeking out while I was at work, and I was like, this hurts me so.
No,
But anyways,
no, I'm just trying to think. Like, I will be shocked if New Mutants and Dark Phoenix still come out. I don't think it's gonna happen. We'll see, but no. So, an update to the story that we talked about last week. Like I said before, unless you've been living under a proverbial rock, you have probably heard that James Gunn was fired from the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and from the rest of the, his future at the MCU, because after Guardians 3, he was going to kind of be the architect for the cosmic side of the MCU.
Okay.
Because they're starting to bring in people like Adam Warlock, and they're going to bring more space shit now that we got the X-Men back. And Fantastic Four, we're probably going to see Silver Surfer and Galactus and all them other motherfuckers. So it's like he was going to be, the architect of that and put that together and be the one to kind of keep all the pieces.
The mouse shut him down. Yeah.
So we're not going to go into the whole thing before. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back, listen to last week's episode. But anyway, we finally have a response from the entire cast of Guardians of the Galaxy. Because initially there had really Dave Bautista was the most vocal one of everybody, and he was like really coming out, like, because initially he was like, I don't want to really comment on it much right now because I got a lot more to say, but I want to get my thoughts together. He was like, but I am not happy about this shit. Like, he put out a succession of tweets after that, just talking about how this is a travesty that we're letting this happen, and James Gunn is a good dude, and yeah, what he said was fucked up, but that doesn't, reflect about who he is as a person, and yada yada, and that, if we start going down this route, anytime somebody with a different political opinion than somebody else comes along, they can just dig up some old shit you said on the internet and just ruin your career, and he's right. I mean, I did say in that episode that I did feel like it was right for James Gunn to be fired because what he said was pretty fucking terrible.
Right.
But I also said it with the caveat of, I feel like he should have been fired for that 9 years ago. As in, if you were going to try and stand on this morality high horse about it, like Disney, then you should have never brought him on in the first place. Because when he was hired to make the first Guardians of the Galaxy, this came out and it was like, hey, you had some like pedophile and rape jokes and shit in your past and shit, and he addressed it. He didn't try to hide it or pretend that it didn't happen. He didn't delete the tweets or anything. He was like, I'm sorry. He was honest about it. Everybody let it go. Now we're dredging it up again 6 years later, and it's like, y'all knew about this shit. I'm like, maybe, I don't know. What I feel probably what happened is somebody at Disney was like, look, when they hired him, they was like, is this shit going to be a problem? And somebody, I'm sure Kevin Feige or somebody else is probably like, no, it's all good. He ain't like that no more. Like, it's all good. He's apologized for it, yada, yada, yada. And I'm sure they said that probably before the first time it came out.
Right.
And then they were probably like, it's cool. He apologized. It's all
done.
good.
We're going to bury it. Let it be.
Right. Now that it's then flared up again, they're like, nope, see, I told you. He's going to be a problem. He's trouble. I want him gone. Mm-hmm. That mouse was like, get that son of a bitch. He's like, I'm running a family company, goddammit. But, so yeah.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Right.
Oh my god.
Oh, so the cast, like I said, Dave Bautista had been the most vocal about it, and Zoe Saldana had put out a tweet saying, like, she said she was praying about it, but she'd say something, once at a later date when she had more time to think about it, yada yada. Then Chris Pratt put out some kind of like Bible quote or something like that, saying like, be slow to talk and quick to listen and something like that. Whatever. It's kind of vague. This is the first, like, outright, they're going, like, okay, we're, as a consolidated whole, making a statement. And it goes as follows. An open letter from the cast of Guardians of the Galaxy. To our fans and friends, we fully support James Gunn. We were all shocked by his abrupt firing last week and have intentionally waited these 10 days to respond in order to think, pray, listen, and discuss. In that time, we've been encouraged by the outpouring of support from fans and members of the media who wish to see James reinstated as director of Volume 3, as well as discouraged by those so easily duped into believing the many outlandish conspiracy theories surrounding him. Being in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies has been a great honor in each of our lives. We cannot let this moment pass without expressing our love, support, and gratitude for James. We are not here to defend his jokes of many years ago, but rather to share our experience having spent many years together on set making Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. The character he has shown in the wake of his firing is consistent with the man he was every day on set, and his apology now and from years ago, when first addressing these remarks, we believe is from the heart, a heart we all know, trust, and love. In casting each of us to help him tell the story of misfits who find redemption, he changed our lives forever. We believe the theme of redemption has never been more relevant than now. Each of us looks forward to working with our friend James again in the future. His story isn't over, not by a long shot. There is little due process in the court of public opinion. James is likely not the last good person to be put on trial. Given the growing political divide in this country, it's safe to say instances like this will continue, although we hope Americans from across the political spectrum can ease up on the character assassinations and stop weaponizing mob mentality. It is our hope that what has transpired can serve as an example for all of us to realize the enormous responsibility we have to ourselves and to each other regarding the use of our written words when we etch them in digital stone. That we as a society may learn from this experience, and in the future we will think twice before we decide what we want to express. And in so learning, perhaps can harness this capability to help and heal instead of hurting each other. Thank you for taking the time to read our words, the Guardians of the Galaxy. And then it's signed by Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Karen Gillan, Bradley Cooper, Sean Gunn, Vin Diesel, Pom Clementif, and Michael Rooker. So
it was very well written.
Yeah, no, and it makes sense because I was kind of salty for a bit because I was like, seemed like Bautista is like the only one really coming to his side, and like the rest of the cast is like, I don't want to get caught up in this shit. like my career like is just starting to really take off. Like Chris Pratt was like, I lost all this weight and shit. Like I'm getting big movie checks. I can't fuck up this Jurassic Park money, man. Which is also through Disney, and he's like, look, I ain't fucking this up. Or no, I'm sorry, that's Universal. I'm sorry. Another franchise. So Fast and Furious and Jurassic Park are probably the only two things left that Disney don't own.
That's all we got.
But, I mean, I was kind of salty in the beginning because I was like, it doesn't really feel like nobody... Because Kevin Feige has, to date, still not said anything about this shit. Because the executive over the movie division of Disney, he was the one who made the statement that they were firing James Gunn and everything else. And that's just been it. No one said anything else since then. No one on the Marvel side, no one has said anything. Not the Russo brothers, not any of the producers over there, nobody. So this is the first time, like we've gotten a big, just outright, okay, we're addressing this from anybody on Marvel side. And I agree with what you said. It was well thought out. Mm-hmm. It was, it acknowledged that what he did was wrong.
Right.
But then it also talked about, how his character, has been all while they've known him, redemption, people change, shit like that. And I agree. Like I said, I am of the mind of if you were going to hold this against him, you should never brought him on in the first place.
Right.
But if you're going to bring him on, don't then throw him under the bus the moment somebody tries to use this shit against him. You knew this shit was out there. You knew it could have been an issue. It should have been like I don't know, a thing in his contract. Like, you got to get rid of all this other shady, questionable shit that you said in the past from your social media so this can't come back to bite us in the ass later.
Right.
Now, granted, somebody could have screenshotted the shit. Who fucking knows?
Everybody screenshots everything.
Right. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna act like you have a problem with it, then that should have been your stance from day one, and you should have never hired him in the first place.
Right.
But if you're gonna bring him on, because I hated that people kept comparing it to the Roseanne thing. Like,
I would
it's
say
not the same.
we all have skeletons.
Yes.
We all come with baggage. None of us are, floating on a cloud. We all have something. And unfortunately, in this world that we live in, it's recorded somewhere.
Yeah.
Like you said, somebody screenshotted it, somebody retweeted it, somebody...
That's why I liked what they worded. They said, when we etch things in digital stone.
Well,
I was like, yeah, because the internet is forever.
Yep.
Like, I mean, well, hopefully. The world doesn't end or some shit. But it's like, yeah, like, this shit ain't just going away because it's not on your timeline right now.
Right.
Like, it's still there.
I mean, in order to get something off the internet, you have to be very, very diligent. I've known a few people that have tried, but it's still there somewhere. There's still some kind of a footprint digitally.
Yep.
Digitally.
Yeah, and then you can never really get rid of anything because, I mean, people will save stuff into the cloud and torrent shit and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, it may not pop up in a Google search per se.
Right.
But that doesn't necessarily mean it's off the internet. It can be in message boards, forums, Reddit somewhere. Like, it can be anywhere.
Podcasts, movies.
Exactly.
I mean, it's...
But anywho, I just wanted to just bring up that, the cast has finally come out and said something, and I didn't necessarily need it to be like in defense or against James Gunn per se, but just to say something. That's why I'm still looking at Feige over there like, man, you got to come out and say something. Like, I mean, I'm hoping, I don't know, like there's been petitions to get him rehired and shit like that. Who knows what'll happen? I mean, because at this point, honestly, I think Disney probably realizes that they probably did jump the gun and made a mistake. No pun intended. And made a mistake. But I feel like now it's a matter of saving face, and they can't go back now.
Sure.
Because then now what? Now what do you say? First, it's like, oh, well, we're trying to be the morally superior company and be like, no, we can't have shit like this going on within our ranks, so we got to get rid of him. And then turn around and go, oh, well, we overreacted, and, he's not like that. It was just some dumbass jokes he made years ago, and we're going to bring him back on. Then you'll have people accusing him like, oh, well, you're just taking up for the pedophile, and because I've already seen on Twitter and shit like, oh, he's a secret pedophile, and no one would ever say things like this unless they really wanted to do it. And it's like, no, comedians and creators, people in just your normal everyday life make jokes about shit all the time. Like,
right. I would say there's a whole card game devoted to it.
Yes. And it was funny because we talked about this off mic too, about something else related to the show about being worried about it being political. But we're going to dip our toe in it real quick again. Because, I mean, this whole thing came out of politics in the first place. Like, it was, right-wing, people arguing against left-wing people. And that's how this whole thing blew up into this in the first place. Because they were like, oh, we'll show you don't like Trump or we'll get you fired. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. But, I do find it funny that people who are trying to perpetuate this he's a horrible person, he's a pedophile, yada, yada, yada. I do find it ironic that these would be the same people that would excuse the grab him by the pussy line because that's just locker room talk. That's just how just men just talk and guys just do stuff like that. And I'm like, we can excuse and justify that, but this is crossing a line. I'm like, now granted, I agree. I do not find pedophilia and or rape jokes funny in any respect. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you're trying to make not necessarily light of it, but even if you're trying to show how horrible it is, because his one rape joke that I saw, it wasn't necessarily making light of rape. It was kind of saying like it's horrible, but still trying to make it funny. Cause it's like, oh, the best part about being raped, or the best part about rape is once it's over, you can go like, whoo, man, it feels great not being raped. And it's like, he's trying to say like, it's terrible. Right. I know it's a bad joke, but it doesn't necessarily make it funny, though, either.
Right, right. I mean, there are a lot of comedians that have jokes that find, I've been sitting through numerous comedy specials looking at the TV, and I'm like, the hell? That's not funny. And
I mean, it is there is a term for, dark humor like that. It's called gallows humor. Sure. It's like trying to think of the most disgusting, horrible thing, something that is the furthest from who you are as a person, and making fun of it. Like, that's the whole point. It's like you're making a joke about something that's so terrible that nobody would, want to do something like that, but that's the point of the joke.
Right.
And so, and it does scare me that, these people who are creators and comedians and shit like that we're going to start sending the thought police after them. And it's like, you can't say stuff like that. That's not funny, this, that, and the other. And it's like, I get it when it's hate speech and discriminatory shit like that. Granted, yes, I don't think you should make jokes like that. But as a person who makes, colored humor myself.
Sure.
I'm like, hell, just take my pussy yogurt joke, from a while back, which Amber, if you're listening, I know she always loves that one. But Amber from Facebook, not my Amber. My Amber hates that joke. But anyway, I'm worried that this is going to be a slippery slope and that Disney has kind of set a precedent now. To where it's like, well, if you've done it with him, now everybody that they go after, if they find some incriminating shit, well, you just gonna have to just start wiping motherfuckers off the list.
Off with their heads.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see.
Disney reference, by the way.
Yeah, I know, I like that. I don't think that Gunn's gonna get his job back, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. But I'm getting something. I'm getting a breaking news story. We have a update on the ever-going saga of who the fuck is playing Batman. What is happening, man?
Oh my god!
What is going on with Batman? Just please, somebody somewhere explain this to me, because Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, so DJ Melly Mel sent me this one as well. This is the other story that she had made a reference to. Now, I'm getting this from Forbes. And it is saying top 10 best actors who could play Batman in Matt Reeves' movie. Now, I'm going to just kind of skim through this. But the writer, he's basically saying that, that the movie is going to probably start shooting in spring of 2019. And, as we're getting closer to that date, rumors are going to start circulating about who's going to play Batman before he's cast and this and the other. And clearly, it has been decided Ben Affleck is not going to be in the Matt Reeves Batman movie. So this is probably more than most likely going to be a reboot.
That's pretty much what they said. They said it was not necessarily a full reboot, but it's definitely
they're trying to keep their toe in the water. So it's like, hey, if Aquaman and Shazam and Wonder Woman 1984 do well, then we'll just integrate this Batman into those into DCU, which it still don't make sense, because it's like, well, how are you going to explain that he's like 20 years younger now and everything else? But whatever. Right. But okay, so some of these actors that. And the whole reason I even wanted to talk about this, because I kind of skimmed through it, and I was like, I'm honestly getting kind of sick of talking about this whole Batman thing. That's why I started it the way I did. But
it seems like it's every other week.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. The ever-going saga. But I did want to talk about this, because as I was reading through it, I was like, oh, hell no. So some of the actors that this guy suggests, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Now, and one thing he says in here as well too is about how we need to get past the whole Batman has to be a white guy thing, you know,
right.
like you can cast him as anybody. And I agree with that to a point. Sure, like I wouldn't care if y'all had a black or Hispanic Batman. It wouldn't matter to me. It's like there's nothing about Bruce Wayne that intrinsically says he has to be white to me.
Right.
But that's what I'm used to. But again, I don't fucking care. But anyway, one of his picks is Jack O'Connell, who I guess he was in something called This Is England, Startup, and Unbroken, to see why he's a spectacular dramatic actor with powerful physicality who could deliver an iconic performance as the Dark Knight. The only question in my mind is whether he can do an Americanized accent. I don't know who Jack O'Connell is. So I'm kind of indifferent on that one. And there's a couple other ones.
Can you imagine Batman bust out with a British accent?
Well, I mean, to be fair, Christian Bale
I don't know what kind
is
we don't want to go there yet.
Scottish?
I don't know. We don't want to go there
yet.
Yeah,
we'll get there. We'll get there.
But, I mean, I don't know. This is James O'Connell or Jack O'Connell. I don't know nothing about him. I just threw out British accent just because. Sure, sounds like a British name. But whatever.
Okay.
All right, I'm sorry.
Now, one of the other ones, and like I said, a lot of these dudes I don't know, so I'm going to kind of just jump around. But the one I really want to talk about was Ansel Elgort. Okay. Ansel Elgort, he says a top contender in my opinion, because he's proven to have not only strong dramatic and action chops, but also his on-screen charisma with a mix of youthful naivety, disguising an underlying darker edge he reveals slowly or in sudden outbursts on screen. Elgort has both mainstream appeal and indie sensibilities, which I think is a good mix to bring to Batman. And he definitely has a look that would let him pretend toward shallow playboy lifestyle as Bruce, and then don the Kyle for nighttime prowling as a tall, brooding vigilante. No! No. The kid from The Fault in Our Stars, I think, the cancer movie with the one girl, I'm pretty sure that's him.
I'm looking.
Is he in The Fault in Our Stars?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, see, no, hell no. And he was in Baby Driver.
And Divergent.
Yeah, no, hell no. No, that motherfucker, no.
If you're gonna do that, you might as well have the kid from Gotham play Batman.
I know, Greg, because he's young looking as hell. And I don't know how old this actor is, but he looks like babyface young still. And I'm like, fuck, hell no.
This motherfucker's younger than us.
How old is he?
24.
Oh, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything, because if they want to skew to a younger Batman, that's fine. But, because like I said, if it's going to be a reboot, it's probably going to be Batman Begins again. So, it's like, whatever. But I'm just like, hell no. Ansel Elgort, I'm like, the dude that they kept swearing up and down they wanted to have play Han Solo in the Solo movie. I'm like, nah, man, I'm good on him.
No, I'll pass, thanks.
But no, this is the one where I was like, I wanted to find the writer of this article and whoop his ass for this. No. This motherfucker put up Aaron Taylor Johnson, the dude from the Kick-Ass movies and Godzilla, and who played Quicksilver in Age of Ultron. Hell no. Hell to the no, to the no.
Okay.
Hell to the no.
I agree with you. Fuck that. But earlier in the article, there was a mention of possibly Jake Gyllenhaal. Where Jake Gyllenhaal's been trying to get into Batman since the Nolan movies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, Jake Gyllenhaal is playing in the new Spider-Man as a villain.
Mm-hmm.
And in the article, it says, because Jake Gyllenhaal is coming into the Spider-Man Far From Home, there is very little chance that he is going to cross over into Warner Brothers and play Batman if he's already a part of some part of the Marvel Universe. You might as well throw Aaron Taylor Johnson into the same thing, because there ain't no way.
Well, he's dead.
It doesn't matter. He's already played in a Marvel movie.
That doesn't mean anything.
Well,
That means absolutely nothing because we
Let's
just
say-
watched Lawrence Fishburne play
That's
Perry
true.
White in Man of
That's
Steel,
true.
and now he's in Ant-Man.
all right, you got me there.
That don't mean shit.
And Ryan Reynolds made the switch too. So
Mhm. And I mean, hell,
I don't see him as Batman though.
no, man, hell no, man, kick ass ain't no. That curly haired son of a bitch ain't playing Batman. No, you take your little Jew-fro and get the fuck out of here with that shit. No, man, ain't nobody want to see your bitch ass play no mother. No, hell no. He was
No, I'm
the
good.
worst part of the Godzilla movie. I mean, besides the fact that Godzilla was barely in the fucking movie and they killed Bryan Cranston within the first 10 minutes. But other than those two things, he was the worst part of that movie. No, I don't think he's necessarily a bad actor, but Batman?
No.
Batman? Get the fuck out of here, man.
Okay, I have an issue with the next one.
Who's the next guy?
Sam Claflin.
Okay, who is he?
Okay, he's a British actor, and he played in that Me Before You movie, where he was like paralyzed from the waist down, and he fell in love with the girl with the bumblebee the stockings.
Nope, never seen it.
It's a girly flick. That's all he's ever played
I like
in.
chick flicks, that's fine.
He was in Hunger Games. He was
Didn't watch those either.
no, well, never mind it. For our listeners, he was Pheonix. Yes.
Let me see a picture of him.
You'll know who he is when you see him.
Will I though? I haven't seen any of the movies that he's been in, so will I?
I don't want him as my Batman.
I mean, look, I'll take him over Aaron Taylor Johnson.
No,
No, you would rather have Aaron Taylor Johnson than that
No,
dude.
I don't want either one of them.
Well, I'm just saying, in a world where those are only two options, come on now. I mean, but like I said, I think he looks more of a... I don't necessarily see him as Batman. But see, I say that with everybody until they put on a cowl, and I'm like, okay, anybody could look like Batman. You give him the right, mask and shit. Who is O.T. Fagbeny?
I don't know. I was just gonna look that up because I've never heard of him.
What has he been in? There's only one guy on this list that I would actually legit be like, okay, I could see that because he was already almost Batman before.
Why are all these guys British?
Yeah, I swear to God, man.
The Brits are taking over again.
I used to make this joke a long time ago. All our superheroes are being taken over by the Brits. Like, the guy who plays Superman, Henry Cavill, he's British. At that time, Batman was, of English, European descent. Who else is Spider-Man is British.
Yeah, Tom Holland is. Benedict Cumberbatch is.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I don't know who this guy is, but I don't think I want to picture him as Batman.
Okay, so this is the black guy that he was talking about.
I would say he kind of looks like Shamar Moore.
He kind of does a little bit. Yeah, he kind of does
face.
a little bit. Yeah, which I mean, I've never seen him in anything, so I am indifferent
This
on
guy,
him.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm indifferent, just like those first couple guys. Like I don't know them from anything, so I can't give a opinion on that. But I'm just like, no, yeah.
Apparently it says he's been in something called The Handmaid's Tale, which is an adaptation of the book. It's a TV series.
Yeah.
British,
which I haven't seen that either.
British TV series.
But no.
Whatever.
I want to get to this next one, and then we'll get to the one that I actually would not necessarily like to see, but I'd like to see that over any of the other options. Toby Kebbell. Toby Kebbell is... I'm sorry, man. Like, I don't think he's necessarily a good actor. Like, everything he's been in besides Koba and I think it was Dawn of the Planet of the Apes or Rise of the Planet... One of the Planet... I think it's the second one. He plays Koba, like the evil monkey that turns on Caesar and shit. He's good in that, but he's shit as Doctor Doom in the Fantastic Four movie, or Fant-Four-Stick. He's shit in that Ben-Hur movie.
Yeah, no, I'll pass on that.
I'm like, man, and then he just don't have the look, man. Like, that dude ain't Batman. I'm like, that, I'm telling you, man, there's, I don't know what it is, maybe just strong jaw, I don't know. But I'm just like some of these dudes, I'm like, man, for real? Like, no, hell no, man. But okay.
They have him also, this Toby Kebbell kid, pegged as the Riddler. If you scroll down in the article...
Yeah. Well, he pretty much has him for everything. He's like the Riddler, or the Joker, or Harvey Dent. And I'm like, You just want him to just be everybody. I'm like, get off Toby Kebbell dick. Like, god damn. I'm like, he ain't that fucking versatile shit. But, okay. The one guy on here that he has that I actually was like, okay, I could maybe see this. Armie Hammer. Armie Hammer, I know, right? Arm & Hammer. Armie Hammer, he plays the Winklevoss twins in The Social Network, if you've ever seen that. And this is a really bad movie, and this is going to kind of probably sway some people to the no side on him. He was in the Lone Ranger movie. He plays
with Johnny Depp?
Yeah, he plays the Lone Ranger. He's been in a few other things as well, but he, did you look up a picture of him?
It's going.
Yeah, Armie Hammer, I'm like, he has the look more than anybody else that they've offered up, as potential Batmans. Like, he has that stoic, like, I could see him, like, as a rich playboy, but at the same time, I could see him in the alley beating the shit out of you, too. So, Armie Hammer is the one guy out of that. And he almost was Batman back when, they were trying to make a Justice League Mortal, movie back in the day. They had cast him as Batman, and they had a whole suit for him and everything, but it never happened. But I'm like, I could see him more than anybody else that they've put up. That dude, I'd be like, okay.
Oh, okay. I can go with that.
Yeah, like, I would co-sign him being Batman. All these other motherfuckers, though, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Toby Kebbell.
Yeah.
The fuck is wrong with y'all?
He kind of looks like a playboy.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, he could pull off that in a heartbeat, that rich, snobby.
Especially, like, if he shaves. They got a picture of him here with a beard, and then right next to him, he's clean shaven.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah, like,
right there. That picture
in that
right
tuxedo
there.
and shit. Yeah, like, that's Bruce Wayne. Like, if you
Hell
show me
yeah,
that
it is.
and put underneath Bruce Wayne, I'd be like, I'd believe that.
All right.
I believe that in a heartbeat.
I can go with that.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, get him, man. Now, he might be too old now. Like, he's like in his like mid-30s or something. Like, he may be too old for what they're trying to go for this now. But I'm like, man, he would have been good.
I don't know. I think I could see it.
I know. That's what I said. Like, out of everybody else.
86.
So he's same age as me. So he's 32.
Well, shit.
Okay, then yeah. No, he can totally
that's perfect.
do it. Yeah. But, I mean, so,
like, look right there. We're looking at another picture. He's standing next to some, I don't know, female. But, I don't know if it's his girlfriend or his wife. Or...
Just the way he's some female.
Well,
No, go ahead.
But, I mean, that looks like Bruce
Wayne.
Yeah,
just look up pictures of Armie Hammer at, like, a red carpet premiere, or just look up, Google Armie Hammer in a tuxedo. Yep. Like, that dude looks like Bruce Wayne. Like, I could buy him as Bruce Wayne. And like I said, I've seen him in the bat suit. It's a bad costume, but I'm like, I buy it.
The right suit, he might be able to make it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just don't give him that brick house fucking Ben Affleck suit where he looks like a fucking... Like, he looks like the side of a barn. He's so wide and stocky. Now, don't get me wrong. They made Ben Affleck work out, and he bigged in a motherfucker, but I'm like, man, he too fucking big, man.
He's big, but then they gave him a big suit.
Yeah. Kind of like what happened with Shazam. They had him work out, then they put him in this big-ass muscle suit.
If you're gonna take an actor, and you're gonna make him gain the muscle that he needs to pull these roles, fine. It happens on a daily thing. But don't give him one of these big, bulky, giant suits. Give him some fucking, I don't know, Wolverine spandex and let the man be. Because I don't want to see these big, bulky suits. So if this director listens to anything, please, for the love of God, get rid of the big, bulky suits. And it's a good thing that we brought that up, because remind me when we talk about The Dark Knight.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
just
remind me.
Oh, yes. Okay. Which, and then they just go on to just talk about some of the other casting choices, like, I would like to see Lakeith Stanfield or Toby Kebbell as the Joker. And I'm just like, or Toby Kebbell and Pete Davidson as the Riddler. And like I said, he got some kind of hard on for Toby Kebbell. I'm like, dude, just whatever. That would be interesting. Like, I like Lakeith Stanfield. Lakeith, did you see Get Out?
Yes.
He's the guy in the hat in Get Out.
Gotcha.
the one who says the line, "Get out!" Like him.
Gotcha.
That's Lakeith Stanfield.
Okay.
He's also in Atlanta. He plays L in the Death Note Netflix Death Note live action movie, which was really bad. But he tried in that.
I do like about this article. It says as Jim Gordon, either Ed Harris.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which I could totally see that.
Mm-hmm.
Or Denzel Washington.
Oh yeah.
Which I'd be okay with that too. Who doesn't love them some Denzel?
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And then
I'm looking to see though. They have the Joker, they have Penguin. No mention of Ivy anywhere.
Yeah, that's a good point. He doesn't, but he doesn't have one for Harley though either.
No,
it's mostly just the guys. He had one for Barbara Gordon. Is the only
pretty
female
sure that
I see.
Margot Robbie, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's got Harley Quinn for life.
Yeah, probably. Right. They gonna bury her in that fucking costume.
Yeah. They do have Mandy Pantkin. I know who it is, but I can't say the last name. He played Gideon in Criminal Minds.
Oh, okay.
First couple seasons. Or Bryan Cranston as Hugo Strange.
That would be dope.
Bryan Cranston as Hugo Strange. That'd be pretty good.
They put Adam Driver on here. Now, Adam Driver, I'm pretty sure that's the guy who plays Kylo Ren in the new Star Wars movies. And I'm like, I don't know about that one. Bryan Cranston in anything. Bryan Cranston as Batman will be oh my God. Could you imagine? Oh my God.
Yes. If they're not going to use Armie Hammer, then they need to use Bryan Cranston.
Could you imagine Bryan Cranston as like a grizzled? See, if they wanted to do Batman versus Superman and made Bryan Cranston Batman, I would have bought everything. Him
if they
killing
did
people.
Batman Begins.
Dude. Somebody make this happen. Even if he, in one of the animated movies that they always do, because they always get different voice actors to do. He could be. Could you imagine Bryan Cranston? Now they'd have to get him to work out and shit, but get him in that bat suit and just to see him, because I would steal that line that he says in Breaking Bad. He'd be like, "Oh, who are you?" Like what is that? Like it's the Batman, and then he just comes out and he's like, "You're goddamn right." Yes! I'd be like, yes! Oh man,
yes.
So please, Warner Brothers, Bryan Cranston, get your agents to talk to their people and something. Please make this happen. Get me an animated Batman movie with Bryan Cranston as the voice of Batman. And if it has already happened, please somebody tweet that shit at me and send me a link, because I will watch it tonight or tomorrow, whenever you're hearing this. But anyway, okay, enough with the Batman casting news. We've vamped and put it off long enough. So we are finally going to talk about why DJ Melly Mel hates The Dark Knight.
Oh.
And just beforehand, you're prepared for the hate that you're going to get for this, right?
I know.
Because that is the most beloved film of all of geekdom.
The hate that I got for Batman Begins is not even going to compare to the hate that I'm about to get.
Right. But real quick, it's ironic that we're talking about this. And it's ironic that we started doing this whole thing this year, too, because on July 18th, 2008... a film was released that changed the way we see comic book movies forever, and you fucking hate it.
Goddamn one of them.
No, on July 18th, 2008 is when The Dark Knight came out, so it is 10 years old this year.
God, that makes me feel old. That's been happening a lot lately. A lot of things are making me feel old, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for 30s.
Oh, come join the club. It's fun over here. Dirty 30s is what everybody keeps telling me.
Got a couple more years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Okay.
Begin.
No. Yes, but okay, no. The Dark Knights. I'm just going to keep in tradition here. What don't I like? What don't I hate about the Dark Knight? All right. Now I'm begging our listeners, please Don't be too hard on me.
Just be open-minded.
Right.
You
may not agree with what I'm about to say.
Mm-hmm.
The Dark Knight is horrible because, again, we have Christian Bale. Again, we have the stupid bat voice. Again, we have a bat tank. We have the ugly-ass suit. And we have Heath Ledger as a Joker. Oh my God, your face!
My eyes got so big. I'm trying my damnedest to just let you say your piece and not shit all on it.
I know.
Because I am going to be the dissenting opinion in this one. But go ahead. Okay, so here, let's try to focus this.
I want to say, how do you want to start this?
So as far as what is it about the story that you don't care for? Because there are a few plot holes I don't like about that movie that I will agree with you on. So let's start there. Like, what as far as like the story, like, what do you not like about it?
I don't like the way that they portrayed the Joker's backstory.
Okay,
that drives me absolutely bonkers. That leads to how they portrayed the Joker himself.
So you want a more traditional comic book version. I fell in the acid, my skin is bleached, now I'm wearing makeup and scars and all that shit. Okay.
I mean, I'm okay with the scars.
I think the scars were cool too. Like, that was the first time I had seen something like that, and I'm glad that we have kind of adopted that as a version of the Joker.
Sure, I'm scars are okay, because Jack Nicholson had scars.
Yeah. I mean, he had, like, it was different, though. It was like scars. A big grin, but
right.
Yeah.
His were muscle damage, whereas opposed to Heath Ledger's, guy just took a knife and Jack Rippered him. But I mean, the scars are okay. That I didn't have a problem with that.
Okay.
But the fact that the Joker is Jack Nicholson Joker, is this kingpin mobster, real suave with the suits and everything matches, and he got the green hair and whatever, but it was combed, it was styled, he had class. Heath Ledger had these crazy ass outfits and dressing in nurses' costumes and this hair that looked like it had been just not washed in 47 million years. It was all gross and scraggly, and I'll say that kind of stuff didn't bother me per se, because that wasn't what I was expecting for them to do with him when the movie came out. Like, I didn't expect him to be this kind of grungy, kind of like street level Joker. Honestly, like, no, go ahead before I
I
go.
And it was unexpected, and initially I did resist it, but there were things about it that it made sense to me, because I'm like, okay, if we're gonna change fundamentally where the Joker comes from and like what he is, because in The Dark Knight it's all like, oh, he's all about chaos and all this other kind of shit, and I'm like, that's not really traditionally what the Joker is. Like, the Joker is a meticulous planning, I got contingency plans for contingency plans, and I got, hey, these traps set up and all these gags and shit. Like, he's a very plot, scheming type, villain. Like, he wasn't just, I just do crazy shit. It may seem like he was doing crazy. And that's kind of what they got at in The Dark Knight. It was like, oh, it seems like it, but it's a plan. And I'm like, not really, because if you really break the movie down, there's no way he could know certain things would happen, when they would happen, and who would be. I mean, okay, for example, one of my issues in the movie is, there are some issues with this movie. I want to say up front, it is not perfect by no means. But one of my issues is when Batman first confronts the Joker, and they're at that party in the apartment, Batman just like teleports to the middle of the room. Because remember, when the Joker shows up, Bruce goes off to his little safe room or whatever to go get his Batman costume, then he comes back.
Right.
And the whole time, the Joker's out there talking to Rachel, and he's telling her about how he got his scars and all that shit. And then the next thing you know, Batman's just there. And it's like, how did he get in the room? I'm like, there was only, as far as I could tell, 2 ways in and out of the room. The way they came in on the elevator and then wherever Bruce walked off from.
Right.
So I'm like, you don't tell me that he walked back into that party, went through that sea of people that was surrounding them on all sides, and just stood in the middle and he's like, here. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck? I was like, how did he get back there? Like, that bothered me. And the fact that Rachel and Bruce fall off of the roof of that building onto a car.
Yes.
And did not just go splat.
Yes.
And die.
Yes.
And they don't even like act like, oh, he's hurt or some shit, or oh, like the rest of the movie he's got a limp or something. It's like, no, he just gets up and it's fine. And it's like, we never go back upstairs. So I'm like, what happened to the Joker? Did he leave? I would assume, in my mind, once Batman jumped out the window after Rachel, he killed everybody in that goddamn room and left.
Right.
I'm like, but we never revisit that. He never goes back up there to see if the people are okay. Don't he have batarangs and shit that he could have got back up there with?
Yes.
So that's one of the plot issues of the movie where I was just like, that don't really make sense. And then how did the Joker necessarily know that they would be there? Yeah, he knew it was going to be a fundraiser, but how did he know directly that? Or I guess because he did have people on the police force that was helping him. So I guess you could say
there was
that.
moles in there, so he knew.
I guess, but and we'll get to it in a little bit. But go ahead, continue.
Rachel was an issue in and of it itself. I did.
You got to agree, though. She was better in this one than she was in Begins. Like, Katie Holmes, I didn't like.
That is true.
Okay.
The character of Rachel was better in this than in Begins. I will give you that. However, Katie Holmes, really? Really? Now we're going back to casting choices. And it seems to be an ongoing theme here.
Well, it's funny because Katie Holmes was our first Rachel.
Right.
And then in The Dark Knight, we had Maggie Gyllenhaal, which is Jake Gyllenhaal's sister.
Correct.
Which it would be funny if he ends up becoming Batman. But anyway, my issue with Rachel in this one was that I felt like she was playing both sides of the fence because that whole love triangle with her and Harvey and Bruce.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, well, because I felt like she kind of, because in her letter, she explained, she goes, well, Bruce, I told you that, when the city no longer needed Batman, like, we could be together. She was like, but I don't feel like you'll ever not need Batman and you'll always want to do this. And it's just like, not really, because by the end of The Dark Knight, going into The Dark Knight Rises, he's quit being Batman for like 7 years or some shit.
Right.
Like, he gave that shit up immediately. I was like, so all that, well, you'll never stop wanting to be, this is your true face now, the one that criminals know. And I'm like, no, he's willing to give up being Batman. He's so willing to give up being Batman that he will just drop that shit in a heartbeat, give it off to somebody who don't know what the fuck they doing. It's like, all right, you the new Batman. Here's the keys to the Batcave. Bye. Right, and he's like, the fuck? You ain't for to train me how to use none of this shit? Nah,
you figure it out.
But so that's my issue with Rachel, is that I feel like she's playing both sides of the fence with Harvey and Bruce, and that she, and her excuse for why she wants to be with Harvey and not Bruce, I call bullshit on, because I'm like,
I do too.
He immediately gave up being Batman. Like, the moment he beat the Joker and got rid of the mobs and shit, he was like, all right, that's it, I'm done.
Right. And
was never going to go back to it until Bane showed up. So it's like, I don't see what your argument is. Like, he was just say you just wanted to be with Harvey. Like, don't try to blame it on this Batman shit, because that's not an issue. Yeah,
she was trying to scapegoat out of it and be like, well, I really don't want to just come out and say it, so I'm just gonna blame it on you being Batman. Well, kind of, sort of, no. If you're gonna make a decision like that, make a decision like that. Don't wishy-washy back and forth.
Agreed. And to let you guys know too, a lot of my gripes with it may probably sound nitpicky. I mean, this whole thing may sound nitpicky because I do enjoy the movie overall. I have some issues with it, but I'm playing both sides of the fence. I'm playing devil's advocate to DJ Melly Mel, and I'm also the dissenting opinion to DJ Melly Mel.
He's just making sure that y'all don't, completely just trample over me.
Right. Unsubscribed, 1-star review, fuck this podcast.
You're like, nope, that's it. I'm done.
But go ahead.
Like, all right, DJ Melly Mel, it's either you or the listeners.
Yeah.
Gotta get packing,
right.
man.
Right. Get this bitch off of your show. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I knew that was. Yep, I knew that was coming back.
But okay, go ahead. Okay, so what did you feel about Commissioner Gordon's arc in this?
Well,
because I love me some Gary Oldman. Like, if nothing else,
I think he was the one person.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if nothing else, of all three movies,
I think
he's
in
my
the
favorite.
one person other than Lucius Fox.
Yep, Morgan Freeman. I was just gonna say that.
I think other than Lucius Fox, Commissioner Gordon is the one constant that I enjoyed. It is the one thing about these movies where I'm like, okay, at least if not anything else, they nailed Commissioner Gordon, because
I feel like, the Nolan
props
movies,
to that.
did the most fleshing out of his character and making him an actual part of the story instead of just the dude who Batman talks to by the bat
he
signal.
doesn't just, like the bat signal.
Right, I know. Batman, we need help. All right, you got it, bye.
Right.
Like, he was an active
He
part
was
of the
involved,
story.
yes,
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
he helps capture the Joker and everything else. So, I liked that we got to see a progression of him through all three movies, where it's like, the first one, he's just like a kind of like a beat cop. Then he's like Lieutenant Gordon.
Sure.
And then he becomes commissioner.
Yes.
So, it's like by the third one. So it's like, I like to watch his climb.
Right.
And watch him develop as a character.
As opposed to just being like, okay, here's fat guy, he's commissioner.
Oh, God. Yeah, the commission. I love the 89 Batman, and I love Batman Returns. But the dude they had playing Commissioner Gordon in those movies were fucking terrible, man.
I want to say he played commissioner in all four.
Yeah, he was in all the original run, even the Forever and Batman and Robin movies.
Yes, he was. I don't know. Gary Oldman nailed it.
Yeah, no, Gary Oldman's awesome.
And
he nails everything. He does.
Probably does.
He does. Right. Hey, you better watch him around your wife, because he nails everything. You better watch yourself, too. Don't drop the soap.
Oh, my God.
Sorry, Gary Oldman, I love you.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I like to see the progression. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Kudos for the one.
Oh, okay. So what? What about Mr. Dent, Mr. Two-Face? And since he technically is two different characters, we should address them separately. So we'll talk about Harvey, and then we'll talk about Two-Face.
Yes.
So what did you feel about Harvey?
Harvey was probably the second thing that I enjoyed about this film.
Okay.
Aaron Eckhart, he played very presentable, very believable, very, calm, cool, collected lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm good with that. Had no issues.
He almost felt like he could have been like, and I think that's always how Harvey was set up. Like, he was almost a mirror image of Bruce.
Sure.
Like he is what Bruce could have become.
Absolutely.
Like that. He had good intentions, but then he went down a dark path that he never could come back from.
Right.
And
but, it's like those cops that join the force to do good, and then they kind of
they become corrupt and start taking bribes and shit like that. Yeah, like when we first meet him and everything's going on with him, he seems like he's a good guy with good intentions, and he is trying to do something positive. Mm-hmm. And it's just that his own inner demons, get the better of him.
Which, I mean, kind of, Batman is the same.
Yeah. It's just that he kind of walks the line
he handles
a little bit
them
better.
A little bit differently.
Yeah. Now, I think that he was a bit naive.
A little bit.
To think like, because, I mean, Gordon even tells him in the movie, he's like, look, man, there's going to be consequences and repercussions to you going after the mob and trying to, shut them down. And he's like, when I signed up for this job, I didn't think it was going to be easy. And this, that, and the other. It's like, yeah, man, but these motherfuckers going to take this shit personally, and they going to start putting out hits on you, and all. It's going to grow beyond just, we're going to lock up the bad guys. Like, they killing judges and shit and everything else. It's like, it's going to get ugly. And he was so naive to think that he could just come clean up the city and, everything would just go fine and dandy and hunky-dory. What I didn't like about his turn to Two-Face was I didn't buy how quickly he turned, because the way they made it seem like, what how much time do you think had passed between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight? Maybe like a year, if that long? Because by
18 months tops.
Yeah, because by the end of Batman Begins, the Joker has already started doing shit.
Yeah.
And then by The Dark Knight is when the first time he interacts with him. So it can't be too much time in between that. Because it would be hard for me to believe that he would focus on the mob so much for so long and just completely ignore this other crazy motherfucker that's running around, even though he kind of was in the beginning. He was like, oh, well, we'll worry about the clown later, and all that shit. And yeah, and I will agree with you, the Batman voice got worse in this one.
It got worse progressively.
Yeah, it's like each movie he became less and less, like intelligible. And it's like, what the fuck are you even saying?
By the third one, he's just like... like a pack of dogs or something.
Right, between him and Bane, like, I ain't know what the fuck nobody was saying in that movie.
Oh my god.
But we're going to get to
watch
Rises.
That with subtitles.
We're going to get to Rises. You just wait. But yes, I didn't quite buy his turn to Two-Face because, well, for one, I didn't like the fact that the Joker had to be the one to get him there.
Yeah.
I'm like, the whole tragic story of Two-Face is that he just kind of gives up and he's just like, fuck it, I'm going to just embrace my lesser self.
Yeah, it's easier to be bad guy than it is to fight this.
Which he has his own
that I'm trying to do.
Twisted morality of fate and chance and all that shit, but at the end of the day, he's still a fucking bad guy.
Right.
It's like, yeah, he may not shoot you if the coin flips heads, but he'll just keep flipping the shit till it goes to tails and then shoot you anyway.
Until he gets a chance to shoot you.
Right. So it ain't like, it's like, oh, I'm safe now. It's like, no, he was going to kill you no matter fucking what.
He's one of those that has the contingency plans. Hey, if I don't get to shoot you, we're going to, I don't know, dump acid on you or whatever.
Right. Some shit like that.
We're going to find something to fuck you up.
Yeah, like, I just didn't buy his turn because I didn't like that the Joker had to get him there. I wanted to see him get there on his own. And just plus as well, I get it, Rachel died, but him and Bruce, I mean, with Bruce it made more sense because Rachel was like a childhood friend of his. That made a bit more sense to me. Harvey, how he just spiraled out of control, it's like, yeah, I guess he wanted to marry her or whatever, but I was just like, y'all ain't been together that damn long for this motherfucker to be like, I'm just finna go crazy now, It's like, and they showed like hints of it when he's like flipping a coin with that one dude he's interrogating.
Yeah.
And Batman comes and stops him, and he's like, like, if anyone saw this, it would undo everything we've done so far. And it's like, well, it's kind of all falling to shit right now. I'm like, like, They tried to kill the mayor in the middle of a goddamn, speech and shit in the middle of downtown.
Right. They weren't subtle about things.
Which, by the way, that whole scene where the Joker shoots Commissioner Gordon and when he's trying to shoot the mayor, it's like, okay, that is another one of those plot points where I was like, this makes no sense.
Right.
First off, Bruce goes in broad daylight looking, trying to find the Joker or whatever to stop this. And he's like, oh, I can't, drive the Batmobile in the middle of the day. I'm going to take the Lamborghini or whatever, and he's like going around and he's trying to find where the Joker might be to assassinate him. He goes into that room. The guards are all tied up and shit. And they have a sniper rifle in the window with a timer next to it. First off, you telling me you ain't see that timer sitting right there going, you finna go off?
Or hear it?
And this was my thing. There's no way in hell he could have known that. You telling me that the Joker knew that Batman would figure out where he was planning on trying to do the hit on the mayor, find the exact floor of the building that they were in, get up there in time to be at the window right when that timer went off and the blind opens up and then the SWAT dude thinks that he's a sniper and tries to shoot him.
Right.
And it's like, there is no way in fucking hell that would have happened like that. It'd made more sense if they'd have been like, hey, there's a dude on the ground looking with a button or something and he sees some movement up there and then he do it.
Sure.
But to be like, oh, a timer just went off. It's like, get the fuck out of here, man. Like, come on. And then beyond that, during the same scene, you're telling me that none of the police officers noticed that the guys, like the armed, like honor guards or whatever, the ones that are like, attention, hut, and, like shooting the air and all that shit. You telling me that y'all didn't notice that those are different guys than the guys that initially came here? Like, there's a guy with 2 big ass scars across his face. Granted, he ain't in his makeup, but he got these big ass scars. You don't like, hey, what's up with that dude right there? Like, is he all right? Like, you look kind of shady. I was just like,
thank you.
Like, how does nobody notice this? And it's not like they're in the crowd. Mm-hmm. The honor guard is right at the front of the stage when they're doing the speech. You would have thought Gordon would have just looked down and be like, who the fuck? No, hell no.
That ain't my man.
Right, because he's looking around for snipers. They know there's a possibility that the mayor could be killed, because right before that, they had the dude that was hanging that hit the mayor's window and shit. And so they knew there was a hit out on them. And it was just like, why would you not, like, vet these people better? Like, that whole scene is stupid.
Plot holes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Plot holes. Mm-hmm. The size of Michigan potholes.
Pretty much. There is another part that bothered me. But I feel like I'm giving you more ammunition than I need to be. I'm like, I'm supposed to be the dissenting opinion here, but now I'm starting to pick it apart.
You're dissenting. It's okay. Please tell me.
Okay, so towards the end where he's going and he's trying to confront the Joker and they got the bombs on the ferries and shit. Mm-hmm. And he's in that like unfinished skyscraper that they're building. When Batman gets there, or on his way there, he's telling Gordon in his cowl or whatever microphone thing that, the Joker is at such and such location. No, I'm sorry. He's telling like Alfred or Lucius or whatever to tell Gordon where the Joker is, because he's using that new technology that, triangulates all the cell phone signals to map the city so he can figure out where he is. You can tell I've seen this movie like a billion times, but he's telling whoever he's talking to, like, tell Gordon that they're in blah, 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 and meet me there or whatever. Batman gets there. He gets in. He tackles one of the hostage takers. He pulls the mask off and he realizes, oh shit, the hostage takers have switched places with the hostages. So the people with the clown masks and the guns are really the hostages, and the guys that are tied up and shit are really the killers and shit. Why doesn't he ever communicate that back to Gordon? No, at no point he ever does that.
I'm so glad that you brought this up, because it was one of the things that, sitting there in the theater watching this, and I'm like, what? Wait a minute here. So he had the sense to relay where the Joker's gonna be, but he didn't have the sense to say, oh, they have switched places, and the good guys are actually the bad guys, and bad guys are actually good guys.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now
they're just supposed to magically know.
Yeah, because that's what the whole confrontation is, and why he's fighting the SWAT team, because he's trying to stop them from killing the hostages, because they don't know that the hostages are really dressed as the killers. And I'm like, you could have told somebody. You were talking to Lucius in the headpiece the whole time. You could have been like, hey, call Gordon on the cell phone and tell him. It's like, you telling me you got all this tech, but you ain't got call waiting in your fucking cowl? Like, you can't do a 3-way call in this shit?
A 3-way call. There you go.
I'm like, this motherfucker had, like, special lenses and all this other shit. And it's like, you can't just be like, hold on. Hey, Gordon, like something.
Yep.
And then, and it makes sense, and I get it. They did establish earlier in the movie that the Joker was kind of holding the city hostage, and, he wanted them to give up Batman, and that's why the police were, not really liking Batman during that point. But I'm like, if you would have told Gordon to tell his men, hey, stand down, you don't know the whole situation, give me some time to try and get this settled out. No, it's just like, it was unneeded extra conflict for no reason. And it just made the story even more convoluted. You could have just had him fight the guard or the clown posse and shit and just call it good. You didn't need all this other shit.
It just gave an excuse to have more explosions and fight scenes and...
Speaking of fight scenes.
Uh-huh.
This is true, and I don't give a fuck how much you love The Dark Knight or the Nolan movies in general.
Mm-hmm.
This is true for all three of the Nolan movies. The fight choreography in these movies are so bad. It is so bad, and they're shot even worse. Like, they have him doing this, I think it's called like capoeira or some shit, where like you fight with your elbows a lot and shit. And so he's doing a lot of elbow swinging, and it's like, that's cool or whatever. And they're like, oh, well, in a real life fight, this is how bad. I don't want to see a real life Batman fight. I want to see a movie fight. The fight that I hate Batman versus Superman.
But
the fight scene with Batman in the warehouse is the dopest fight I have ever seen Batman been in.
Yeah, it is.
Ever. That was like some Arkham video game fight shit, and I was like, yes, this is glorious. Yes. The fight scenes in the Nolan Batman movies, though, are shit.
Garbage.
Trash.
Yep.
Trash. And you can never tell what's going on because it's always dark and the camera's
like
right in his face. And it's like, I can see some arms and shit swinging around, but that's about it. Like, I don't know what's happening. For every Nolan Batman movie, the fighting has been just terrible all throughout. The fight, now granted, the Joker is not some big tactical fighter or something like that.
Right.
He's just a crazy dude.
Right.
So the fight between him and Batman, I didn't expect to be some big epic shit, but it was so just sloppy and stupid, and it lasted for like 10 seconds. Like, I think the Joker hits him in the head with a crowbar, he falls and shit, and the thing lands on him, and he just sits on him after that, and they talk. And it's just like, that's it? That's the whole epic final confrontation between these two? I'm like,
I really wanted more of like a psychological fight between the two of them, honestly.
Yeah.
Especially as much as they hyped up the Joker. And the Joker's hyped up anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what he's known for. He plays them psychological games.
Yeah.
Even if you play the Batman games, if you've seen the cartoons, it's all a big psychological clusterfuck. And with the Joker just going crazy in the city, that's not doing anything.
I mean, he is playing the mind games of he's trying to push Batman to break his rule and kill people and shit like that. But it's not really. I mean, he says that, but he doesn't really try to do that per se.
Not really.
It's just more so him just fucking with Batman. His thing is just, I just want to cause a bunch of shit and, just burn a city down,
right.
Pretty much.
It's just the chaos. And
which is funny because Bane does a better job of that in The Dark Knight Rises than the Joker did in Dark Knight because he fucked the city up.
Yeah, he really did.
like he was, if anything, he was the real Joker because he went on a rampage.
I think it's funny that I hate on The Dark Knight Rises less than I do the other two.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Yeah, I fucking hate that movie.
I didn't say it was good.
No, sure.
But I have less to pick apart about The Dark Knight Rises than I do the other two.
Okay.
I think it was probably because I was anticipating a good Bane presentation.
Sure.
I mean,
I think that's why I was so let down by it, though. Because I had too high of hopes, and I felt let down.
See...
But I don't want to get off into Rises.
We'll save that for
we'll
next
get to
time.
Rises.
Yeah, we'll save that for next time.
But to this point of the Joker and all that stuff, though, I did want to say I don't think that Harvey should have became Two-Face in The Dark Knight.
No.
I think that Two-Face, if they wanted to do two villains, they should have saved that for the third one. And it should have been Two-Face and Bane.
Yes.
Because, and this is why I say it, because since Heath died while filming the movie, obviously they couldn't have known that. So they may have possibly had plans to bring him back for the third movie and they had to change it. But I feel like it should have always been the Joker was the main character and Harvey was a supporting character. I feel that the shit with him exploding, I feel like this would have been my ideal movie. I'm going to rewrite the ending of the movie. This would have been my ideal scenario. Harvey would have been on one of the ferries. Mm-hmm. It would have exploded. Mm-hmm. He would have survived, but been all burnt up. Uh-huh. And then we end the movie with him in the hospital, and then you seeing his face or the burnt coin, and then you go like, oh shit, like that would have been your tease going into the next movie. Like, oh, we finna have Two-Face in the next one. I think that shoving him in at the very end in the last act, I felt like that whole thing, it fell flat for me because there was no build up to it. Because it was like, oh, he's a good guy. He's kind of got some shades of gray. And then it's like in the last like 10 minutes, evil. And it's like, it was too sudden. I feel like we could have spent this whole movie building him up, kill Rachel, burn him the fuck up. And then going into the next movie, you'd be like, okay, we got all this other shit out of the way. Now we can look at the fallout of this and watch them go at it.
Yep.
You know,
him and Bane burn the city.
Right. And then you could have still had Bane in it as well. And you could have dropped that whole Talia shit.
Yep.
Please drop that dumb shit. And then just had them two be the villains for the third movie. Because I feel like when they brought Harvey in, it kind of negated everything that we had been building up with the Joker because it shifted gears so hard. And it ends with him.
Yes.
Especially because the majority of the driving force in The Dark Knight Rises is the fallout for what happened with Harvey. Like, oh, you know, people thought he was dead, and the Harvey Dent Act, and them locking up all the mob people. You could have still did all that shit and had him been Two-Face. You could have had everybody think he was dead, and because his face is all burnt up and he didn't want to come back to the public no more. He was depressed and in hiding or some shit. And then he could have went crazy and then came back in The Dark Knight Rises, and there's your movie.
I agree.
Boom. New,
110%.
better movie. And then you wouldn't have had to rush the final confrontation with the Joker so quickly. Because I felt like he spent more time fighting the fucking police and shit than he did dealing with the Joker. And they just wrapped that up so quick. And plus they're cutting back and forth to the ferry and everything else during that.
Yep.
That it never felt like the Joker got his due at the end.
He didn't.
Yeah, I feel like now the more I talk to you about it, the more it's making me not like the movie. What have you done to me?
Everybody has this facade that these are great, great movies. And when you go back and you look at them and you're like, there's so many things wrong with this.
Yeah. I think a lot of people...
part of my thing. Like, I watched them, I've watched them in theaters, and then I've went back over the years and watched them, and in preparation for our shows where we talk about them specifically, I've went back and watched them again, and each time I'm disappointed all over again. I'm just like, this had the opportunity to be a great comeback from the 80s, 90s Batmans. We could have had so much redemption with these movies, and we didn't. And then they were so hyped up, and they were, oh, well, this is the best Batman. And it's not. No. And it hurts me that Heath lost his life over this. And it hurts me to see that this is his final role.
Yeah. Because
it could have been great.
Yeah.
Now, if they would have told me that they were going to put Heath Ledger as the Riddler, I'd have been okay with that.
I still don't regret his Joker because honestly, besides Jack Nicholson, he is the standard that we go by now. I mean, like it or not, he is the standard for the Joker now.
It kind of set up for the Jared Leto Joker, though. That grungy street Joker.
They just kind of went more into the flamboyant direction. Like Heath was more like a grunge Joker, and Jared's more of like a
millennial
pop, like hip hop. Like, oh, I got these gold chains and a grill and a Lamborghini
like Leto's
and shit.
Joker either.
No, fuck.
So I mean, I'm not sitting here praising Leto over.
I was gonna say because just think, it could have been that.
Yeah,
he could have been that in The Dark Knight, and then you would have really hated that shit.
I don't. I think with that we should leave our listeners with, some time to reflect on everything that I've had to say.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
just think about it. Put your personal bias aside. That's something I had to do. It really was, we all know that I hold 89 on a pedestal. But putting that aside, putting comics aside, putting cartoons aside, like if you've never seen a Batman movie, look at the Nolan films and you really want that to be... That's like saying, oh, well, I've never seen a Batman film, but I'm going to start with Batman versus Superman.
No.
Why?
God, no.
It's just not. It's not something that you should do. It's not.
One more quick little gripe before we go.
Okay.
Another thing that bothers me about The Dark Knight is that in Batman Begins, we established, he was trained by Ra's al Ghul in the League of Shadows. He's basically a ninja.
Right.
Pretty much for all intents and purposes, which that's comic accurate. Like,
yes,
he
absolutely.
martial arts and all that shit. That's how he gets around and sneaky and all that shit. That's fine.
And they do have a ninja Batman specific.
But by the time we get to the Dark Knight, it's like we just dropped all that shit. Like the karate and everything. That's why I said when he's doing all this capoeira fighting, and it's like, that's not the shit that you learned in League of Assassins. Like, you learn ninja shit. Like, what is this elbow fighting bullshit you doing? But it's like, Batman is an amalgamation of a bunch of different things. He's a ninja. He's a detective. You know, he's a brawler. He's a gadget dude. He's a whole bunch of things in one.
He's intelligent. He's
right. But in the Dark Knight, they strip all that away from him. They have him do, like, the most minute amount of detective shit with the whole bullet thing and the brick and all that, which that was kind of cool, but that's not no real detective shit.
No.
And then that's it. But we dropped all the ninja and the smoke bombs, and I was like, where did all that go?
You know, another thing, and I'm glad that you brought that up.
Okay.
I know that we're trying
This will not be the last little gripe.
I know that we're trying to
right.
end
Wrap
it.
this shit up.
But
yeah.
To me, as you said, Batman's very intellectual and he has the knowledge of all of these different things, this wide variety, and so he's not limited. In the Nolan films, it does not strike me as he's a very intelligent being. I mean, he has Lucius there, which is fine, but he should be bouncing off of Lucius, not, okay, Lucius is doing everything and I'm a robot in this giant ass suit that I got.
That's a really good point. Like, Lucius, in the comics at least, was always kind of like, hey, you were the guy I would go to when I can't do something. Like, hey,
right.
I need something made, but I can't figure this out, or, you know, can you help me with this? It was never like he depended on him to get shit done. In the Nolan
movies, he did.
Yeah, like, I mean, everything. The bat suit, the Batmobile, all of his gadgets, all of his tech, it all comes from Lucius. Now, like I said, in the comics, that's true as well to a degree, but Bruce is still able to, you know, fabricate and do some of this shit on his own.
Right.
You know,
he comes up with the ideas and he kicks them to Lucius, and Lucius is like, okay, yeah, I like this, this, and this. We can improve on this, this, and this.
Right. He was more of like an engineer. He's like, okay, this is what you want. Better. Yeah, and this is how I can make this a reality type shit. But it was never just like, Bruce is just like, give him a piece of paper. I want to turn my head. Okay. And it's just like, new suit. And it's like, wait a minute. That's not how this is supposed to go.
No.
But yeah. Sorry if we offended anybody and shitted all over your movie. I still love The Dark Knight. I admit it has its problems, but I can look past a lot of that because I enjoy the performances so much. But the story and the fighting and shit, yeah, that shit, I can't deny. It's there's plot holes and the fighting is just terrible.
And it's all dark.
Yeah.
You know, I get that it's The Dark Knight.
Sure.
But turn a street lamp on.
You know what's funny too is The Dark Knight is the only Batman movie that doesn't have Batman in the title. The only one. No, I'm sorry, and The Dark Knight Rises. Those two are the only ones that don't have Batman in the title. And I'm just like, why? It's and that just kind of goes to show, like,
they made it less about the Batman himself.
Yeah.
And more about...
Yeah, it just goes to show, like, Christopher Nolan, I don't necessarily think was ever interested in telling a story about Batman. I think he was more interested in telling the story about his villains and the city, more so than Batman himself. Especially once you get to Dark Knight Rises, because that's basically Gotham the movie.
Yes.
Because it's barely, Batman's barely in it, and Bruce is barely in it, and it's just like, I'm seeing more of Catwoman and Gordon than anything else. But
I'm saving it.
We will get to that one. But okay.
Yes.
We've shitted on your childhood, you know, heroes long enough, so we will leave you. But don't hate us. One of us still does love The Dark Knight, even though I can admit it is a flawed movie and it's not the greatest thing that everybody tries to build it up to be. But anyway, that is it for the show, guys. Hey, go check us out on Podbean. They are one of the best podcast apps out there. Podbean's been a leader in the field of podcasting for over 10 years, developing innovative tools for podcasters and listeners. You can download it on the App Store or get it on Google Play. But remember, you can always find us at our home, onegiantleapforgeeks.libsyn.com, or on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, or anywhere else you get your podcast. Make sure to show us some love, so go ahead and like, subscribe, rate, follow, review, and all that shit.
And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or you just want to say hi, preferably in a nice tone, you can always email us at officialoglfg@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks. We're on Facebook, Reddit, Pinterest, Tumblr, Instagram. Did I miss anything? I don't think so. Just search One Giant Leap for Geeks. Alright, you guys have a good night. Bye!